In this video, we're going to be talking about estimation. What exactly is estimation? Many of you have heard of it before, but the actual definition that we're going to be using for estimation is thinking or reasoning to get an approximate, which means close, value. So we're going to be doing some thinking using different types of estimation strategies to get a close value.
When you think about estimation, you can think about estimation being the umbrella. And under the umbrella are the different types of estimation. You can use compatible numbers, you can use rounding, or you can use something called the front-end method. Today, we're just going to talk about estimation with rounding. Later in the year, we'll talk about the other two methods that you can use to estimate.
Rounding is a set of rules for you to estimate, and many of you are familiar with these rules. If you are using a number that has a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4, you will not, it's not called rounding down, which some of you are calling it. It's going just back to the original number that it had. So you're not changing anything, you're just staying put. If it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then you're going to round to the next 10. So it's like if you don't get up enough speed on the roller coaster, which is 5 or above, you have to go back down to the original number. 5 up to 9, you're actually going to make it to the next 10. We're going to show you some numbers now, and then we're going to practice rounding them.
Here we have 1,833. And we're going to show you what it will look like to round this number to the nearest hundred. So I'm going to find the hundreds place. I have an 8 in the hundreds place. And so I'm going to look right next door to the tens place, and I'm going to put a little marker there so you can see it. There's a 3 in the tens place. Thinking back to the roller coaster, the 3 is less than 5. It falls on that side, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That means that my 8 is going to stay the same. Now, watch what happens to the rest of the numbers when you round. They become zeros. So when I round 1,833 to the nearest hundreds place, I'm left with 1,800.
In this model, we have 1,657. We're going to round this one to the nearest thousands place, and I know this is my thousands place. So I'm going to look next door at the hundreds place, and I see that there's a 6, and so the 6 tells me that I need to actually round the place up. So the next number from the 1 would be the 2. And then all the numbers after the one that I'm rounding to will turn into zeros. So my estimation would be 2,000. So let's look at that again. It was originally 1,657. The 6 helped me round up to a 2 in the thousands place, which gave me 2,000 as my final estimation using rounding rules. Alright, so now we're going to use a number line to show you how you can also round numbers. We're going to take this number 473 and we're going to round it to the nearest hundreds. So I know that this has a 4 in the hundreds place, so I put 400 on my number line. I know that when I'm counting by hundreds, the next one would be 500. I am going to put my benchmark fraction of 450 because it's halfway in between the two. And I'm not really necessarily using rounding rules, but I'm thinking about where the number 473 falls on line, because if it falls past 450, I'm automatically going to round up to 500. If it's smaller than 450, I'm going to round down to the 400. So I know that when I count by tens, I've got 450, then I've got 460, 470, so I'm going to put this right about here for 473. So when I look at this, because it is got only this little bit of space to get to 500, I'm not going to be able to round it down or let it stay the same. I'm going to actually round it up to 500. So 473 rounded to the nearest hundred is 500.
Now we're going to do an example with the number 3,872. We're going to try rounding this number to the nearest tens. Now I'm going to think about where 3,872 falls on the number line. Well, I have 3,870 here, 3,875 here, so I've got 3,871 about here, 3,872. It's going to be about right here. And if you'll notice, it's much closer to 3,870. So my 7 is going to remain a 7 in the tens place, and the 2 will become a 0. So when I round 3,872 to the nearest tens, my answer is 3,870. Anything below the midway point is going to stay the same. Anything at the midpoint or above is going to round to the next digit.